Pretty good.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
I had to keep practicing. I was doing it before bed.
Do the
Like I was praying.
Do the vice presidents.
Adams.
Are you seriously going to try?
No, I could go. I think I could
Here's
go
a good
decent.
piece of trivia, and don't look it up.
Nope.
Okay.
Here's a quiz question: Who is Johnson, Lyndon Baines Johnson's vice president after Kennedy was shot? Who became the vice president? Your mother's cunt.
Oh man,
It wasn't her.
It was not.
It wasn't your mother. It was her cunt.
Her cum was a. Wait a second. This is a history podcast.
Yeah.
What if that was true?
You're telling me. Jones cunt.
Yeah, because he only needed her for 1 year, and then
She's
when he
gonna
ran
be so excited. She's
then
gonna
when
be
he
so
ran,
excited to watch
then
this.
when he ran.
Later, in one of Mossad's London safe houses, Zamir meets the source. The information he hears is astonishing. But what makes it all the more important is the identity of the man delivering it.
Ashraf Marwan was one of the best spies in espionage history. He was the perfect spy. He was not only clever and very, very efficient, but he was also very close to the information. He was a relative of Nasser. He was the right-hand man of President Sadat.
So, when Marwan told Zamir that the following day, at 1800 hours, Egypt and Syria would launch an attack on Israel, there was every reason to believe him. But was this a genuinely
In the West, the French Revolution is generally portrayed as a one-dimensional struggle of the oppressed masses against the tyrannical monarchy, clergy, and nobility. Many people like to oversimplify and blame everything on the king, but historians through the years have been refuting this narrative. In truth, the French Revolution was much more complicated and nuanced than a simple case of an oppressed underclass versus greedy aristocrats. Revolutions in history are almost never purely from the bottom up. It was a complex conflict where allegiances were constantly shifting, and there were good and bad people on all sides. The revolution was fought over the meaning of concepts like liberty, equality, and separation of church and state, concepts that are still relevant today. But the events of the French Revolution also got very dark. While some aspects of French society were improved, others were made much worse. Many of the worldviews it unleashed were extremely damaging and remain a problem even in our time.
Your glory days because you're trying to break the pattern. You're riding the wave of your own hard work and creating your own narrative. Doubters, haters, and for my guest today, curses can't even get in the way. Anthony Rizzo is the definition of what you want out of baseball. Tough as nails, clutch, and a leader of the clubhouse. He was the face of the Cubs franchise that was finally able to break the 108-year-old curse of the Billy Goat. He's an all-star, a gold glover, and one of the most hilarious guys to ever play the game. I can't wait for you to hear this interview. This is Glory Days with Anthony Rizzo. Anthony Rizzo, my guy.
What's up, brother? How are you?
Welcome,
Thanks for
bro.
having me on.
Man, I appreciate you
Yeah,
coming
sure.
on. You know, let's dive right into the peak of kind of the glory days, those 2015 and 2016 seasons with the Cubs. Your first 3 seasons with the Cubs, bottom of the barrel in wins. Joe Madden gets hired in 2015, 97 wins, like right out of the gate, which is crazy. What changed when he took over that clubhouse and really for that team?
Be there, he would watch the world transform around him, new technologies arriving and fading away, entire nations collapsing and reforming, experiencing it all through newspaper articles and fleeting fragments of overheard conversations. When he arrived at the Heathrow Airport in London, he failed to produce a passport or any other identifying information to the immigration representative. They'd been stolen, he claimed. Alfred was detained and then put back on a plane to Charles de Gaulle. He was initially arrested by airport authorities for attempted unlawful entry into the country. They ultimately determined his residence inside the airport violated no laws, but they were unable to permit him to enter Paris without proof of who he was or where he was from. And his plight would remain until Alfred himself was able to provide the necessary documentation.
Everybody is not my problem. When that man will come with official documents,
Gettysburg, German bombs were dropped on the town of Luck, not just destroying buildings, but even killing kids on their way to school. This sent a message of what was to come. The Polish pilot B.J. Solak noted, "The stench of burning and a brown veil of smoke filled the air all around our town. No one was spared." The German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, rained hellfire down on Poland. Trains were seen derailed from the tracks. Kids screamed at the sight of the dead. It was a terror no one could have expected. And so on September 3rd, Britain and France declared war on Germany. Amazingly, France was beaten in just 6 weeks, and in time, something worrying occurred. Surprisingly, most of the French accepted the new Vichy government, one sympathetic to Nazi ideology. Not many know that a large number of people in France endorsed Hitler's hatred toward the Jews. Bear this in mind as we go through this story today. But by that time, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg had already been beaten by the Germans. It was as if the German soldiers were on steroids, which isn't far from the truth in the view of their heavy use of powerful methamphetamine, providing
it that in 2300 BCE, Emperor Yao devised it to teach his son discipline, concentration, and balance. And over 4,000 years later, this ancient Chinese game would signal the start of a new industrial age. It was 2016 in Seoul, South Korea.
Can machines overtake human intelligence? A breakthrough moment when the world champion of the ancient board game Go takes on an AI program developed by Google.
여전히 자신감은 있는 상태고요. 아무래도 역시 아직은 인간의 직관력이나 이런 감각들을 컴퓨터인 인공지능이 따라오기에는 약간 무리가 있지 않나 이렇게 생각을 해서 제가 꼭
in countries
and terrified. I never thought the US would ever head towards a dictatorship, but here we go. When I was younger, I always dreamed of living in the US, or at least saw the US as the ideal country of wealth and living your dream life. However, now that I'm grown up, it changed to the literal opposite. I definitely don't want to live in the US anymore, or even go there anytime soon. With Trump's election, I see a country drifting further and further in a direction reminiscent of Nazi Germany in the 1930s. Boogeymen are being established, illegal immigrants, and dealt with harshly. Again and again, I see supposed ICE agents brutally arresting people. Thoughts of the
podcasts that I really enjoy, that I like, with people that I fuck with, people that I like. And one person who I have followed for forever on TikTok, on Instagram, everywhere really, who has a podcast for a long time, is obviously older than mine, and is just so well done and brilliant. Her name is Tanny Caesar. She is at Tanny Caesar on TikTok, on Instagram, everywhere. And her podcast is called Unhinged History. She is what I am to the legal field, I think, except with an Australian accent, which automatically puts her about 300 levels above anything I could ever be. The reason why I bring up Tanny Caesar and her content and her podcast is because I went on her podcast, Unhinged History, a few months back, and we drank one too many shots, and we talked